respond to those emails or respond to those phone calls, even if it's just a, hey, thanks for reaching out, but we're not interested, because you never know who you might know as a candidate, who you could refer, and maybe you'll be the next person getting a cruise, or what you might need in the future. I always say no conversation is a bad conversation. A conversation could lead to other things down the road. You're not interested now, but there might be something in a year or 2 years that might spark an interest.
Welcome to Security Cleared Jobs, Who's Hiring and How, the podcast for cleared professionals looking for new opportunities and career advice. We go behind the scenes with recruiters and hiring managers from leading cleared employers to uncover the information you need to make a smart career move. Get ready for insights from this week's guest and your hosts, Kathleen Smith and Rachel Bozeman.
Hello, our lovely audience and all of you in the Cleared community. It is so great to have you back at another episode of Security Cleared Jobs, Who's Hiring and How. And I'm just so blessed and excited to be joined by my co-host, Rachel. How are you today, Rachel?
You know what? I can't complain too much. Good weather, great dogs, amazing family, and we get to talk with the one and only Kearstin. I've always wanted to do that. Thank you.
Yes. Drum roll, please. So our guest today is Kearstin McGinnis, Vice President of Employment with TekSynap. Kearstin, welcome to our crazy show today. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. So we would love to hear about your exciting journey, kind of how you ended up as the VP at TekSynap.
It's a crazy one. About 6 years ago, we were on our way onto what would become our last PCS out of the military. It was time for Mom to go back to work full time. I had been very happy of what I was doing in a part-time capacity, but that was the deal. Next PCS, Mom got to go back to work full time. So one random Saturday, I was perusing LinkedIn as I should have been as a job seeker, and came across a random post by the person that would eventually become my supervisor. And it was something along the lines of, what do you want to do? Where are you at? Tell us a little bit about your background. I was like, well, I'll play your game. I'm looking for a job. So I put in my little information, and the next morning I received a message from my future supervisor, and had my interview sitting in the parking lot with a trailer attached to my car, ready to leave Fort Campbell as I'm chatting with Sarah, and learned a lot about what was at the time not TekSynap. And we got to our duty station, got settled into housing as much as you can in those first couple of days, and I jetted off to Reston and had an in-person interview and came aboard first in a part-time capacity. They recognized during that conversation that I brought a value with transitioning service members and speaking the language and speaking the lingo and understanding the clearance process and what the alphabet soup meant within the military. And they said, we need you. However, we're little. We're 70 people. Let's start part-time. So I started part-time, and about 3 months later came on full-time as their recruiter. From there, kind of as they say, the rest is history. And from there, we've grown as a company, and therefore the position has grown, and the team that I support is fabulous, and they have grown as well.
I know you mentioned that you started as a recruiter with the organization, but I've heard a rumor that you don't necessarily refer to your recruiters as recruiters, but really as employment managers. Why did you go down that path? I like it.
Kind of shake things up, Rachel. So we are people. We are a company that was founded and based upon people, and those people being our employees, treating our people well. And through a conversation one day with our leadership, how do we change things? Recruiter, unfortunately, can get a negative connotation in the market. And so we're popping some ideas around, and I said, how about employment manager? Because we are with that candidate from the time that we source or they apply through day one, but beyond. We want to be there for career pathing. We want to be there to support them in their next move within the company. We want to be there as that reach back if they have questions, to be that friendly face. So instead of recruiting that person and kind of dropping and going and moving on to the next position, we tend to refer to ourselves as employment managers, because we're helping that employee manage their career process within the company.
And I think that's really great because, we've been talking a lot about our job within the cleared community is not just recruitment, but it's also retention. It's also career pathing. And I really love that you mentioned that. So tell us a little bit more about TekSynap and the types of contracts that you and your 800 employees work on.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit of everything. We are nationwide in 2 countries, so we can actually consider ourselves international. We have positions with Defense Threat Reduction Agency in the cyberspace. We have a myriad of positions within Defense Logistics Agency. We have a very, very large contract with Department of Veteran Affairs. Many of our positions are right on site, supporting the customer, face to face, hands on. But we also have a great opportunity for individuals to join the company, start their IT career, if you will, and support contracts in a remote capacity. When I say remote, I mean they are going to a different customer site possibly every week. So we call them the warriors. They are out and about across the United States. Some of them are across the world, supporting different customers and traveling quite a bit. And there's some great success stories and some really fun things on our LinkedIn page that we've highlighted of people that have been able to see the world, literally see the world. But we are growing. That 800 has quickly turned into 1,000. We haven't fully announced that yet, but we have reached that 1,000 mark, and the contracts have become very robust. We are half of our team are supported on 2 different contracts, and we're very, very proud of that because those have grown over the course of the past probably about 10 years. And in addition to that, we have all of our back office positions, because it still takes a village to run a company. And so we're not just an IT company. We don't just have IT contracts. However, we have the back office roles that some of those can be remote. Some of those can work in a telework capacity, but Reston, Virginia is where we all call home.
So, on a number of your contracts, you have the ability to upgrade your security clearances for your folks to get polys. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Because that's always a curious thing for many of our listeners.
Absolutely, absolutely. So about 95% of our roles require a government background investigation of some sort. Public trust, Department of Veteran Affairs, high-level background investigation, all the way through that poly side. And because we are very people first, people oriented, we want to keep people, retain them. Some individuals see that as an opportunity to go kind of to the poly side and grow their careers. So one of the capabilities that we have is we can make those recommendations to increase someone's clearance, so to go from a secret to a TS, possibly with SCI eligibility all the way through poly. We make the case internally within the employment managers to say this is going to be a great opportunity for this individual, or I've been working with this individual on career pathing. They have done everything that we have set out to do. They've set all their goals. This is a great next step to in order to retain that individual. It kind of puts the blue ribbon on it, if you will. So we do have the possibility to upgrade clearances all the way through submitting for a poly through the agency. And that is one of the areas that we think over the next 6 months for the company is going to grow, are those areas where that polygraph is going to be required.
Pretty stinking awesome. Something else that I think is pretty stinking awesome is I've heard some rumors about your company culture, and you talk about a reverse pyramid effect. What in the heck do you mean?
Our owners are 2 very, very amazing individuals. They have worked together for a very, very long time. And TekSynap was designed, I hear, on the back of a cocktail napkin. I've yet to see this cocktail napkin, but I'm sure it's somewhere in someone's home. And when they started the company, or when they had this idea that they're going to start a company together, it wasn't a matter of if, it was when. When do we do this? When do we take that leap? And the one thing that they kind of put on the top of their list is we're going to treat people differently. And when you meet our owners, first and foremost, you would never know sitting down and talking to them that they were the owners of a company. And when you speak with them, you realize that they really do have this reverse pyramid effect when it comes to leadership. They believe that, or they know rather, that the employees are the heart of this company. Without the employees, customers aren't happy. Without customer satisfaction, we don't have a contract to go to every day. So if you think of a pyramid, and generally the little tip is at the top, if you flip that upside down, that's where Cam and Dave sit, holding up the rest of the company, holding up the employees. And as they've gotten bigger, they've been able to have the fortitude to say, we need people that are like us, people that are going to carry on that vision, because they knew that at some point in time, they wouldn't be able to be on contract every day. They wouldn't be able to shake the hand of the customer. They needed others to do that for them so they can help grow that pyramid to be a little bit bigger. So as the levels of the pyramid get a little wider as you go to the top, and that is where our newest employees sit and are going to take us to that next level, so to get us from 1,000 to 2,000.
Sounds amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, when we talk about cleared folks who will thrive at TekSynap, you made an analogy that says about a willingness to take out the trash when it gets full. And it's trash day here, and I've taken out all of my trash. So, please walk through our listeners what you mean by that.
You wouldn't go from 0 employees to 1,000 without individuals that are willing to jump in and do what needs to be done in order to get us to the next level. And that's what I mean when I say, we want people that are willing to take out the trash when it's full. I've watched the CEO take out the trash. I watched the president take out the trash. But what I really mean by that, you see that something needs to be done and you just do it. Of course, it has to be moral, ethical, and legal, and it has to be within the confines of our contract. But we're going to do what keeps the customer happy, that keeps our employees happy. And I think that's where that analogy really comes from, is hiring individuals that are willing to do the right thing at the right time.
That sounds great, and probably why you were awarded by the Washington Post top workplaces in the DC area for the second year in a row. Congratulations.
We're very proud of that. Speaks a lot to our culture, and that is an employee-driven award. So employees receive a survey anonymously, they fill it out, and then a third party, of course, goes through and evaluates that. And it revolves around a lot around culture, benefits, leadership, retention, career pathing, job satisfaction, company satisfaction. And we do so much for our employees. Like, for example, yesterday we had a family fun day. I believe we had about 450 employees from the DC area there. There was a dunk tank that my team just thinks is the bee's knees because I got in the dunk tank. Lots of pictures floating around from that. But one of the things that happened right at the beginning, of course, those were opening remarks, and our president, Dave, got up. And one of the things in short that he said, and this is not a quote, but it is a paraphrase, that we are here because of our employees, but more importantly, this day is for our families, to give back to our families that have watched us be away from home for long periods of time, that have supported those overseas trips, that have worked long hours to get in that last proposal. And it was to support not only the employees, but the families. It goes back to the other, willingness to take the trash out. We do the things that are right by our employees.
I'm checking LinkedIn right now, trying to see if I can find some pictures of you being dunked, but I can't. So they're not on LinkedIn, but I'm sure I'll find them.
Not yet. Not yet.
She knows, people. Be warned. The pictures will surface. But speaking of digging around, I did a little digging and found out a little something about tech dollars. And it's kind of toasty down here in Louisiana. So how in the heck can I get my hands on a free Yeti cooler? And we're now best friends. So can you hook a friend up?
So, Rachel, there are lots of ways that you can get tech dollars. Believe it or not, it's not just an internal program, but it is it was designed as an internal program for employees to earn tech dollars. It's virtual dollar, if you will. And within that, employees can go use that in our employee store. And they can get logoed items such as Yeti coolers. We have the really nice one with the wheels. We have the soft-sided one. We have the little lunchbox. Polos like I'm wearing now, pins, badge holders, beach towels, golf hats, golf balls. We even have playing cards in there. If you name it, we will logo it and it will go in the store. North Face jackets, everyone for Christmas received a North Face rain jacket. That's really nice. And those are now in the store for new employees. But it was designed as a rewards program, very special in the fact that you only can get tech dollars when they're awarded to you. You can't go into our store and use a credit card and go shopping. You have to have tech dollars. And so a leadership within the company award tech dollars to anyone in the company. We can even reward them outside of the company, so we can reward it to our subcontractors as well. Employees can make recommendations to their manager to say, hey, I saw Rachel do this really great thing for the customer. Can we send her some tech dollars?
That's a unique opportunity. What are some of the other unique options that you have in your benefits package?
Medical, dental, vision, we have all that. That's pretty typical. One of the unique things we do is we pay the deductible for the employee and their families on their medical plan. We have a very, very unique benefit in our vacation bonus. At 5 years, an employee that's been here 5 years is awarded a $5,000 vacation bonus to take a vacation of their choosing anywhere in the world. I think some of the employees' favorite part is that they can take whoever they want, or they can leave whomever they want at home. And then at 10 years, that increases to $10,000, and then it's $10,000 every 5 years after that. I think last year, my numbers might be a little off, but I know we had at least 3 people hit 10 years last year when the company was getting ready to turn 14. And this year, I think we're going to be at 4 or 5 as we turn 15 for employees that are going to be here for 10 years. Nothing's off the table when it comes to benefits or incentives that we offer. We just are coming off our first cruise as a company, or we'll be headed off to set sail on our second cruise in September, and that was based on referrals. So we have a referral bonus program, as many companies do, and last year we ran it for the last 6 months of the year, and if you referred a candidate, they got hired, you immediately got paid out your bonus check after 90 days. But then we had a magic number that we had to hit, and when we hit that number in the last 6 months, it automatically activated a cruise for every employee that referred a candidate, and that candidate was hired. So in the last 6 months of the year, we hired 104 referrals, which triggered that cruise. And those employees, about half of them went in April with a guest, and then the second half will get to go in September with a guest. So when I talk about nothing is off the table, nothing was off the table. That started as a little, let's give away one trip to one employee at the holiday party, and it turned in, no, everyone gets a trip. So
Wow.
it's been great. It's been great.
That is a great program.
I want to say Yeti Schmetty put me on the cruise, but they're both pretty amazing. But in listening to this conversation, it really kind of brings me back as a true recruiter at heart. One thing we all appreciate is that time is of the essence. You snooze, you definitely lose. And it sounds like your team is really, kind of harnessing that and really putting together a process there. Could you share a little bit more details with us about the process around how you're making sure nobody gets left behind?
Time is money, and individuals' time is very valuable. Going back to that kind of that people focus, we never want to take up too much time. We don't want to leave people stringing. And so we've created our own little internal SLA, or service level agreement document. And that service level agreement document extends to our candidates, our teammates on the team, and then our teammates on the contract, so our hiring managers. And we have very specific SLAs that we want to hold ourselves accountable to as much as we possibly can, given schedules, and to ensure that that process goes very prompt and efficient for the candidate. It's prompt and efficient for our hiring managers. And the faster we can move through that process, and efficiently we can move through that process, then the better it is for the customer and for the company. And it's been great. It's made a turnaround in our time to fill. It's made a turnaround in the candidate experience, which we hear a lot about in the market. And it certainly has kept our hiring managers happy.
Yes, you know a lot about the candidate experience since you've been at many of our job fairs and have been voted best recruiters. So yes, you walk that talk. Congratulations on that. So being so talented as you and your team are, what are some of the job search tips that you would recommend for our listeners?
Being a candidate market, it's still a small market. It's a really, really small world out there. And most of the candidates we're reaching out to, we know we're not the only recruiter, the only employment manager, the only company that's calling or sending them an email. What I would say to a candidate is networking is your biggest tool respond to those emails or respond to those phone calls, even if it's just a, hey, thanks for reaching out, but we're not interested, or responding via phone or even via text message. We'll take text messages. We're good with that. Just letting the recruiter know or the employment manager know that, hey, I acknowledge that you responded, but I am just not interested, because you never know who you might know as a candidate who you could refer, and maybe you'll be the next person getting a cruise, or what you might need in the future. Unfortunately, it's as much as it's a candidate market, it's still very volatile on the government contracting side. And there have been times where I've reached out to someone, they've said, nope, thanks for reaching out, but I'm not interested. And lo and behold, hopefully not as quick as 3 weeks, but 3 weeks or 6 months later, they reach back out and say, actually, my situation has changed. And maybe our situation has changed. And maybe now we have something bigger and better for that individual. I always say no conversation is a bad conversation. That doesn't mean everyone should be having conversations with all employers. Do your homework, do your research. But a conversation could lead to other things down the road. You're not interested now, but there might be something in a year or 2 years that might spark an interest. So reach out, respond, because it is a small market and you might have a referral one day that we're interested in.
This was just such a pleasure learning with you today, talking with you today. And you know what? Gosh darn it, just thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a lot of fun and happy to be here. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Kearstin had so many wonderful points today that I was amazed at all the things that her company, TekSynap, does for their employees. I mean, from the leadership model where the employees are the heart of the organization to the referral program. My God, what was important for you? Or do you want to take off on the referral program? Because I know I do.
I know people. We could refer people, right, Kathleen? We'll go 50-50. No, it was, I loved it. I think what I appreciated most, why all of those were amazing, it's a level of innovation that everything is done with, taking every process, whether it's time of the essence for candidates, and really mapping that out and setting expectations for all levels. And I just thought that was really cool that innovation is part of every conversation. And I know it gets Kathleen so excited when we talk about innovation.
It does.
I know. Like, I was just waiting for like a virtual high five there, Kathleen. You were leaving me hanging out here. Yes. So with that, don't leave us hanging. Don't be Kathleen and leave your friends hanging. Make sure you join us for the next episode. Please follow our show and make sure that you get out there so that we can see you next week. Hasta.